Well, hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to what will be the last episode in my participation in the Jurg Challenge Cup. Because in this episode, I am going to finish this guitar. So please stay tuned. In my previous video, I talked about not leveling the frets, but instead I strung the guitar all up and just checked to see where there were buzzes, and I adjusted that, and it turned out it was just the 12th fret that had a buzz on it, and I filed that down, and then it seemed to be okay. So what I needed to do then was to just dress the ends of the frets. Usually I would use one of these, a file stuck on this piece of wood, and then just run it down the side of the neck. But this time I did something slightly different. I used a fine file and I did each fret individually, and to be honest with you, I found that that's much more effective than using this for two reasons. One, this is quite a coarse file, and I was able to use a finer file and get a finer edge, and it gave me more control over each of the frets, and I feel that I got a better finish with that. I then used a triangle file just to take the burrs off the ends of the frets and just to round them off slightly, and that seemed to work okay. And finally I've just buffed them up with a bit of 600 grit sandpaper stuck onto a block of foam, and then just polished them. So I'm happy with the frets. Then I sanded off the volute, which was in the wrong place anyway. It should have been directly under the nut, and it was right up into the headstock, and I didn't like it. I'm not particularly good at carving volutes, so I've got rid of it. I'm quite happy with the way that that's looking now. It's not causing me any trouble with the tuners, which is great. Then I sanded the whole neck down to about 600 grit, so it's really nice and smooth, and it's really ready now for oiling. Now then, the body has been sanded down to 240 grit. It's really nice and smooth. I've sprayed some water on it a couple of times and then sanded it back down again, so I'm happy with that. So it's just about ready for oiling, and I think I'm going to put oil on it, but I'll come back to that in a bit. But I did notice on the end here got a rather ugly join which I need to do something with. I'm thinking a wedge of mahogany, something like that would work on the end there, and that would go quite nicely with the strap holder as well. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So I just need to cut that out and cut it out of this mahogany. I'll need to cut a veneer approximately 2 mil thick. Going to cut this out with a knife. I've just taped this piece of wood down and stuck the template on. There we go. Right, I've put that in the centre and stuck it down with some double-sided tape and masking tape. So now I'm just going to mark it with a knife. I think I'm going to chisel this out by hand. Remove that carefully. You'll see that I didn't quite get the alignment of the binding join and the side join together. It wasn't very good at all, so I'm hoping now that this will actually cover all of that up and will look reasonably good. Well, that was interesting. I'm having to stand on a stool to get up high enough to chisel this out, but I've got that chiseled down, and this little bit will just wedge in there, and I think that's going to look quite nice. So yeah, let's get some glue on it. I'm just wondering if I can clamp the front here. I don't want to put any tape on the front because I found it pulls the grain off the wood. Here we go. I think this might do the job, you know. Well, that looks all right. Just going to leave that to cure. I tell you what, it was great fun being on the Guitar Builders Collective podcast the other day. Really enjoyed talking to Daniel from Devil & Sons, Scott from Bonehead Guitars, and Mark Guitaris. It really was a great conversation, and it's really nice to be talking to people about guitars. So thanks guys, really enjoyed that. Now then, while I'm waiting for that to cure, I'm going to try and turn this speaker into a Bluetooth speaker with this little package of magic. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to film it because there's so many people have filmed how you do this. I will put a link in the description below to somebody who has turned a speaker into a Bluetooth speaker. But, well, wish me luck. And if it works, I'll give you a demo at the end. Well, that looks quite nice. It finishes it off, I think. I've just got a little problem on the bottom there, which I've just got to fill with some dust and glue, ash dust and glue in actual fact. Running a bit short of ash dust, but hopefully I've got enough just to fill this little gap here. Tidy it up a bit. Says, realising there's a mark in there. Let's try that. Okay, I'll let that dry and then sand it off. Well, it's a sad day, ladies and gentlemen. I've finally completely worn out my Dream Theatre t-shirt. You may have seen me wear this on many occasions, but I'm afraid, well, the armpit has just rotted away. So this is a duster, which is rather handy because I'm going to be putting oil on this guitar. I've just sanded down the filler that I put on the other day, and so we're ready to put some oil on. Okay, I'm going to be using this Liberon finishing oil to finish the guitar, and what I'm going to do first of all is to put it into my little fixture here so that I can hold it while I'm oiling it. So let's get that done. This is where having just a single bolt through the neck there really helps, because you can attach the body to just about anything. There we are, and I can take this off and to turn it over, so that's great. Now this is going to need about 10 coats, I reckon, but of course, as we all know, the first coat is the best. So here we go. Because this is where you start to see how the finished thing's going to look. And well, I think that's going to look quite smart. So with this oil, it's a question of putting it on fairly thinly and then wiping it off, letting it dry, and then just repeating the process. And on the next few coats, I'll probably use some wet and dry paper to just to rub it in. So that looks really good. Let's turn it over. It says, get that off there. I love the way oil brings ash out. It really does enhance the grain. Okay, so there's the first of many coats. Next we have the neck, and I've also got a little fixture for this as well. So that will just screw into there like so. That just keeps it off the ground. So let's see what happens here. Wow, that does look nice. Mahogany has got such a warm look about it, it's amazing. Oh, this I need to turn it over and just get some on the other side. And I am going to rub the whole fretboard down with this. Now while I wait for those to dry, I'm going to make the plate for the jack socket, and I use a piece of galvanised steel which I've had for years, and slowly working down it to make that. I've marked it up on the end there, I don't know if you can see that, just scored it. So well, let's get it sawn off and filed down. I'm just going to soften the corners a bit, round them off slightly. Well, I've got a nice sort of brushed steel effect on that, so I'm quite happy with that. So now I need to bend it to the shape of the guitar. Okay, so to bend it, I'm going to make myself a little jig out of this scrap. Okay, so that's just given it the slight sort of radius that I need. Right, I've stuck this onto a piece of wood with some masking tape and double-sided tape, and now I'm going to mark the hole. Now, don't drill the hole before I bend it, because I find the hole then affects where you're going to bend it. So I drill the hole once it's bent. Now then, I need to find the centre here. Let's make a mark in that. Now I've also marked the fixing holes on this little plate, and the reason I've done that is that I know that the tape won't hold this secure when I drill the big hole for the jack socket. So what I'm going to do is drill these two small holes on each side, then screw it down to this base here, and that will keep it rigid. I've had to open the holes out to 2.5mm because the 2mm wasn't big enough. But this should be alright. Not the neatest of holes, but it will do the job, and it will be hidden behind the jack socket anyway. Do you know what? It's not good enough. You've seen me make that plate. I'm going to make another one, and this time I'm going to make it better. But I won't go through the whole process again because it's going to be a bit boring. So I'll see you in a bit when I've made it. Okay, I'm back at the drill. I've got a new plate in there, which is looking much better. And now I'm going to drill that centre hole, but I'm going to go up through the sizes. Start off with a 2.5mm. Go to a 4mm. 6mm. I think I'll go to an 8mm. I'm going to go up to a 10mm, and I've got a nice sharp bit here. Oh, I've done it again. I've thought I was filming and I wasn't, but that's much better. I've got a nice round hole there, and it's much more central, so that's good. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's better than it was. And that's how it was. I've also made it wider, which is better on the guitar, and I'll show you why. My first attempt was a little bit too close to the edge with the screw holes, whereas this is much wider, and so I don't think I'll have a problem with the screw holes there. The only thing is, do I set that into the body? And I'm going to think about that when I get to that point of fitting it. Well, it's had 3 coats and it's looking pretty good. What I'm going to do now is use a bit of 320 and just put some oil on with that. Okay, I'll leave that one. It's quite a mild and windy day today, so I'm leaving them outside to dry, but I put 4 coats on, and that's probably enough for today. I shall have to come back another day and put some more on. Right, while we're waiting for the oil to dry, I'm going to start wiring up the electrics for the guitar. Now there's going to be 2 volume controls, that's all there's going to be, one for each pickup, and obviously the jack socket, so it's fairly simple. Now I'm going to have to feed these volume controls through the jack socket hole, and the pickups will have to go through the pickup holes, and so I'm going to have to do a bit of soldering once the whole lot's in there. But I can start to do some soldering. The first thing I'm going to do is get these earthed, and I've got the wire tinned here, so I'm just going to connect that to that pin there, and with a bit of luck try and get that to stick on the side of that pot there. That's pretty good. Try and do a nice neat solder. It's always a first time. Right, here we go, that's it. And get that on there. Okay, so those pins are now earthed with the back of the pots. I'm using shielded cable between the pots and the jack because there's no shielding inside the guitar, so I'm trying to use shielded cable wherever I can. I've got an earth wire now which will go under the bridge, and now these will connect to the 2 pots, so let's get that done. So I'm going to take it off the middle tag of each one. This is the signal. That's that. Let's get the earth connected. Tidy that up a bit. It's a little bit too long, that bit. Get that to stay there. Okay, so that's one done. Got those in place. Now I was going to do something really clever here and put shrink wrap on those wires, which I haven't done. Another Dave moment. Right. Do I need shrink wrap? Do I? Do I? Would look good, wouldn't it? But then nobody's going to see it inside the guitar anyway, so hey, let's not bother. So, I've got those wires sorted out. The pickups came with a standard single core cable, and because the body isn't shielded at all, I've replaced that with some shielded cable on both of those pickups, the neck and the bridge, and so that's all ready to go. The pot's all ready to go, the jack socket's ready to go, but I can't do anything else now until the guitar is dry, and well, I try and fit all these bits. Well, they've dried overnight, so I'm going to go over it now with 600 grit, and then I'll put some more coats on. Right then, well, the body and the neck have had 6 coats of oil, and I think I'm happy with the way it's looking. So I'm going to use some of this Buffer's polish just to see if we can get a bit of a sheen on it. So here goes. Now I do have to be really careful when I get it on the wheel, because it could easily rip this bit off. So I'm just going to take great care. I'm just going to mask up first, and we'll have a go. Okay, well, I've buffed those up and I'm happy with the sort of soft sheen that I've got on it. That's all I want. I don't want a gloss or anything like that. I think it looks really nice with that sheen. So the next thing I need to do is fit the nut. Now then, to do that, I'm going to put the neck on the guitar. So let's just get that sorted. Start with. There we are, coming together. Okay, so I need to do a little bit of work because I need to inset the nut in between the binding just on the end there. So I need to take away a bit of material. Okay, so I've got my flat edge pencil here. So let me just mark up where the strings will go. That is pretty much there. So I think I'm just going to glue this in place at that point. I'm using a nut that I've bought, and in an ideal world it would have been nice to have been a bit deeper so that I could have made an indent there. What I'm going to do is fit a truss rod cover there which will butt right up against there, so that will give that some support. It's not ideal, but if in the future I feel I need to change it, then I'll just replace it with a deeper nut. But for now, I think I'm quite happy with that. Just going to glue it in with some super glue. It's quite thick glue. I managed to get it on the fretboard there. Oops. Okay, now you join me at a really interesting point in this build. I've got to connect the pickups to the potentiometers here and to the jack, and I've got to do it all through the body because there's no access holes here at all. So what I've decided to do is use these little connectors to connect the pickups. There we go, there's a pickup with a corresponding plug. There's the socket, so I can plug the pickups in. Now then, that will enable me to take the pickups out if I need to without taking all the gubbins out. What I need to do now is to solder the pins of these pots onto these wires that connect to the connectors there. Connect to the connectors. So I'm going to get on with that quickly and then I'll be back in a second. Just a quick tip, something I've learned, that is if you're trying to solder onto the back of a pot like this, just take a file and scratch the surface a little, because I find the solder will take much better then. There we are. So now I should be able to wire in this neck pickup. And that's that. Done. Okay, so the position so far is I have these two pickups wired to sockets. I've got this string to stop it all falling through into the body. I've now got to get these pots into these holes. I've marked up the bridge pot so I know which one's which. I think I'm going to do this with a bit of string. Okay, I've got the two volume controls in, which is a good thing. Now I need to get this earth wire under the bridge there. So let's find the bridge. Okay, so I need to go near the front. So between those two holes, I'm going to drill a 4mm hole just about there, I think. No, stop. Let's do it at the back. I think I might have to come in from the other way actually. Okay, I'm going to try another approach. And that is I'm going to try and hook the string. So I made a little hook for myself there. Hey presto, we did it! There it is. Okay, now I'm going to fit the bridge. Do it the right way round. Just put a bit of wax on them. That's that fitted. Now for the pickups. So these slot into the connectors like so. I need to tuck those out the way. Okay, I'm going to put some foam underneath the pickup just to enable me to adjust it. Now it's getting a bit late in the day, and I've got to put the tuners in. I've got to make the truss rod cover. So I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to do that tomorrow. So, but before I do that, I want to check something. I just want to see that these pickups are actually working. So I've got an amp over here, so you should hear a thump if I knock these pickups. That one's working. That one isn't. Well, we're okay, 50% there. There's something wrong with that one. I'm going to have a look at it. I'm going to come back tomorrow to do that. Well, of course, I didn't wait until tomorrow to sort out the problem with the pickups. Oh, losing everything here. I've just done it now, and well, they're both working. There were two problems. The connector wasn't seating properly, and so the earth wasn't connecting, and also when I soldered on the shielded cable to the pickup, I accidentally dislodged one of the really fine wires from the pickup windings, so I had to solder that back on, which was a bit of an interesting job. But anyway, it's all working now, so I can leave this guitar in the knowledge that the pickups work. So I shall see you in the morning. Right, I'm back at working on the guitar, and I found myself a little cardboard template which I've used in the past, which will do just nicely for the truss rod cover. And I found myself a nice piece of ash, which I think will look really good. I did think about using a darker wood on there, but in actual fact I think it's probably best not to make a big feature of it. So I'm going to use the ash. Let's see how it goes anyway. Okay, that looks nice. I think that looks okay. I was going to use some black screws, but I didn't have any small enough, so it'll have to be silver for the time being, but I think that looks all right. I think I'll put a little bit of oil on that. Now I'm going to fit the control knobs. Now with these types of pots, if you know, there's a little slit in the middle there, and then there's an Allen key here. Now if you put that on there and do it up, what will happen is that will squash in and this thing will drop off. So what I do is get a bit of scrap aluminium and just put it in the middle there. So I'll just cut a little piece off this one, and hopefully I can just bang that in there. Just like that, and that will stop that from closing up when I screw up the Allen key. Okay, fit the tuners. Okay, I think I've got those nicely lined up. Yeah, look pretty good. So just drill those little securing holes. These are really tiny little screws. I'm using Wilkinson tuners here. So we've got the tuners on, now it's time to put the strings on. What I'm doing, I put my finger at the first fret, pull it back to the second fret, and then slide that into the slot. He says, if you can get it in there. And I understand that that's all you need to do. Okay, I'm going to start with all the saddles level. If you remember, I strung up 3 of the strings, but I didn't string up the D string when I was testing it, so I didn't have one. So I'm going to just raise that to the height of the others for the time being. Well now, ladies and gentlemen, I've tuned this guitar up and well, here we go. It plays really nicely. And I've got the different tones with the different pickups. And the action is pretty good. There are a few things wrong with it, and let me show you what they are. Right, now the first thing that's wrong with this guitar is the mixer section here. Now the problem is this, when I turn either of the pickups down, I lose the sound from the system, and of course that's because the pickups are both being earthed, so I need to turn them both up and then just drop them slightly to get the different tones from the guitar. So what I should do, I think, is introduce some resistors just in front of those pots, but if anybody can give me some advice on that, be really grateful. So that's the first thing that's wrong with it. The second thing that's wrong with it is I need longer screws to bring these pickups up. I've just pulled this one up. I need a longer screw and I need some padding underneath it to bring them up closer to the strings because they're too far away from the strings. But I think otherwise it's playing really nicely. I need to check out the intonation, but it seems pretty good. Seems pretty good. I love the sound from it, really is nice, and it's really light as well, really lightweight. So I am really pleased with this guitar. Well now then, this has been a bit of a journey, about 20 episodes, and for all of those of you who followed me, thank you so much. And don't forget, this is in memory of Jurg Zoller, a great amateur guitar builder who we lost last year to cancer. And well, I just hope that he would be pleased with what I've achieved in his name. I'm certainly very pleased with it. And please don't forget to support the charities that his family is supporting. All the links to the details are below, and you can get hold of one of those fantastic t-shirts. It's a little bit too cold for me to wear mine at the moment, but I will be wearing my Jurg Zoller t-shirt, I can assure you. Whew. In the meantime, thank you very much for all the comments that you've given me, all the help and advice you've given me through this build. Really enjoyed doing this. I will be back building some more guitars. I think I will do a full edit of this build for people who don't want to sit through 20 episodes. But in the meantime, please put those comments down below. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you soon. Cheers. Wow. Okay, so well, after a fiddly bit of soldering, I managed to put the Bluetooth device just there, and that's fine, it'll just sit there. And in order to get the auxiliary to work, I've got to put a thing in the jack socket, but that's fine, because that means I can switch between that and the old classic iPod fitting. But yeah, I've got this all connected, so let's try it. Sounds really good. Got volume on there. Yeah. Well, that was successful. Turned an old speaker into a modern speaker.